So Stephen, thanks a million for your time coming in here today. I know you're a very busy man. First of all, I suppose we start off these series of videos. They were for Douglas Credit Union's local heroes, people who've kind of, in their chosen field, have gone in and done extraordinary things. Yours probably, I suppose, a little bit different. I know you might think I'm a bit exaggerating here, but you're probably seen as more than a local hero, as more than a national hero from what the work you've done in the last year or two. And it's very hard, I suppose, for someone like me, because when all the story broke, I immediately thought my wife, I thought my mother, my sister. This could be very easily been someone related to me, and it's very easy for the women who are involved, because you constantly hear over 200 women have been affected by this, and their numbers. So I suppose I'd like to talk about Irene first, and what kind of person Irene was. In your life.
Like Irene myself, we're married now a couple of years. We had 2 kids, Oscar and Noah. She was an absolutely incredible person. We got married in 2011, and for us it was all about having a family. So Oscar came along in 2012, and then Noah then in 2015. But like that, and I think everybody has heard a lot of the story at this stage. Just after Noah was born, she got diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately, a short battle, it was just under 2 years that she passed away from it. So for me, I suppose my journey, I suppose a lot of people would have seen my story since the whole cervical cancer debacle began. But our real journey began the day Irene got diagnosed with cancer. So essentially we've been in this state of fight since September 2015. But and there's been a lot of different stages, so much tragedy along the way, from being diagnosed with cancer to almost getting the all clear to being re-diagnosed, and then Irene passing away, and then you're now, a widower, single parent, raising 2 young kids, and that was obviously, you're literally handed this whole new world. And then it was 9 months after that then that the whole everything broke then as well, and that just changed the whole perspective on the previous years that we had. It was Irene who was a victim of cancer. Now it was a victim of failures in the healthcare, and what that debacle essentially highlighted was, Irene participated as a woman in the healthcare system, was invited to participate in this smear screening program, and it ended up failing her. She ended up having a delayed diagnosis as a result, and then eventually passed away. And there's been all these different stages of this since 2015, but the latest one now has been the debacle trying to get answers for what happened to Irene, but also as well for all of the other women and families that have been affected by this.
And obviously, as you said, it was 9-10 months after she passed away, the news broke. You were obviously going through a grieving process. It was a tough enough time as it is. Was the initial, it was obviously been a roller coaster of emotions, but was the initial anger?
Yeah, you 9-10 months after Irene passed away, you're what it is. It's all about getting used to a new life, and you're trying to set up a structure and a routine. You know yourself with family. It's like getting up in the morning, getting ready for school, making lunches, dropping the kids off, going to work, coming back. And you do all that as a family. But it was just the 3 of us now, and you're trying to put this whole structure again just for the 3 of you. And 9-10 months into it, you're getting used to it. And there was a little glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, going, look, if we stay on this course, look, we will be able to get through this, and then the whole debacle breaks, and you were literally just teleported back to day 1 of Irene passing away. Just all those emotions and that anger and that pain all just come back up to the surface, and you essentially have to start the whole process all over again. It
must have been tough, because people say, the kid must be very tough, and the kids are a lot more resilient, I suppose, than what we give them credit for. Sometimes it's probably yourself, because you're taking everything on. Obviously,
I suppose there was one main difference with when the debacle broke and when Irene passed away. When Irene passed away, you were walking around the streets, with this new label you know, the boys with no mom, myself a widower, and you had no choice in that label. But when the debacle broke and I decided to go public with it, it was done on my terms. It was me telling everybody who I am now. And that was the biggest difference. I wasn't afraid to be walking around, because the reason I went public at the end of the day was to get answers for what happened to Irene, was to fight for supports for all of the women and families that were dragged into this, because it was just that one night when we were told about what happened to Irene and they just pushed you out the door, sent you home, you were left with absolutely nothing. And I was just thinking of me, and then I was thinking about all of the other people that are involved in this, in the same situation, women that are in the middle of cancer treatment, women that are post-cancer but suffering from side effects and all of that from it. And then there was other families grieving, and they were just left with nothing. So for me, it was, going public was the start of a fight for everything else. It was to get justice for Irene, answers for my boys, because I do have a picture of me trying to explain this to them in 10 years' time, what happened.
Yeah.
It isn't just their mum, the victim of cancer now, it's their mum who's been dragged into a scandal, and the last thing I wanted was her to be a victim of a scandal, and to create some legacy and to step up and actually try and do something. And it's all you can do at the end of the day. So that would be the main difference.
And do you feel much progress has been made?
It's so slow and it's so frustrating, but progress has been made. Like, the biggest thing here is failures happened. If you leave it up to the system, they would be happier just to brush these failures under the carpet. The same way they got these audit results and just hid them into people's files without disclosing them, that's essentially how the system is designed, this old Victorian style system that dictates from the top down and just tells us all how to be. And it's like, it's almost like a rising led by Vicky Phelan, that we're now stepping up and having our say in this, But stuff has done, failure should be looked at as an opportunity to review the past, correct what went wrong in order to fix it for the future. That's all we look at this. So it's about talking about what happened to us, but it's also having the system reviewed, and you look at Dr. Gabriel Scally, the way he went through everything, highlighted all the mistakes. That has been key, and we've met a lot of obstacles along the way of that being done, but it has to be done, because that's the only way you get to correct it. And we're now in the stage of all of that being corrected. So by the end of it, we should have a proper screening program set up with structures, proper staff, everything else.
And how long do you think that will take to get to that?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. We, with regard to the recommendations and the implementation plan, by the end of the year, a good part of that will be done. The most part of that should be done. A lot of work has been done by a lot of people already in the HSC to implement this. There's been a lot of key people brought in who are working very hard, and we, Lorraine and myself, would find ourselves in a lot of different committees, and now in the HSC, giving up a lot of our time during the week, seeing all this progress being made, and we obviously get an input as well from a patient perspective on this. So getting that implementation plan finished is going to be, when that's done, then we can start talking about putting trust back into the system. Also as well, once this backlog that you hear about with results of women's smear tests currently, hopefully that will be addressed in the next couple of months. Once that's done, they'll bring in a better screening tool, HPV screening, which will reduce limitations in our screening program, makes it better again. And I think, once we achieve those two milestones, a lot will be done. There'll be a lot of improvements made. And it's all done on the back of how you address failure, and that's the key part. And this is why disclosure is so important, and bearing information or not addressing the truth.
Exactly, and just
putting
it on or
brushing it on the carpet,
and that's
no,
it.
absolutely, yeah.
I suppose you've been, I won't say lucky, but you've been fortunate enough that you have an employer who's been very good to you. How important is that? How beneficial has that been to you in the last couple of years? And then obviously having the support of your family and the local community around you, because it's vital to come back. Because sometimes, as at the end of the day, you go home and the kids go to bed and you're by yourself. So it's important to have a support network there. How important?
Like my employer, like I work for Follow Cars Ireland, and you know, like they've been great since the day Irene got sick, and then when she passed away, the support has been just endless from managing director to all of my colleagues that I work with. But when this scandal broke, you know, I was talking to my boss and I said how I was going to be going public with this, and then I got invited onto a couple of different committees, and he just turned around and just basically said, you know, look, your voice is going to be limited in this, so do what you need to do now and do what you have to do, and we'll support you. And they have been, they've been absolutely amazing. But the community has just been absolutely incredible. Like, when we're not on the news or in the papers, a lot of people think nothing's happening. But like Lorraine and I give up so much of our time during the week, hours every week, working on stuff. It's essentially become a thing where there's no news is good news. You know, like when we're quiet, things are progressing. Moving, when you hear us in the media, it's because something's gone wrong somewhere, you know. But it's those quiet weeks, like we'll have tough meetings, and you know, you could be having meetings with the Department of Health, HSE, and there's some times where you just see progress slowing down. Or even just the tone or the nature of the meetings is just rotten, and you're left pretty much beaten, and you're kind of, you know, you've got to go home after it all, and you're absolutely wrecked. It could be your fourth meeting that week, and this is on top of your daily job, and you're just knackered from it all, and you've picked up the kids, and now you must go do the shopping, and you could be walking through Douglas Court, for example, wondering, God, why am I doing all of this, you know, like you'd just be so tired. And then just a complete random stranger would just walk up to you and just go, sorry, I just want to just say to you, just thanks for everything you're doing. You're doing a great job, and don't give up. And you've absolutely no idea how many times that happens. But it's incredible, because they nearly always seem to know the right time to actually do that. And it's always those days you're almost beat, and it does actually give you a great lift, because you've kind of reached a stage where, God, is anyone listening? You know, when you're in these meetings or whatever, and then it's just a complete random stranger will just come up to you. And God, people are, and it really is a complete boost. And like everybody in the community, you know, all Douglas Passage, like we were living on Carrigal Land, the whole thing, you know, everyone's been absolutely just rolled in behind us. But I think everybody has seen it at this point. It isn't, you know, while this whole debacle was completely targeting women in Ireland, like we all suffer as a result of this. This is a family issue, you know. Like I go home every night to two boys, there's no woman in my house. While Irene paid the ultimate price for this with her life, it's the three of us that will pay the cost of this for the rest of our lives, you know. So this is I think everybody is starting to understand that, you know, like it doesn't matter who you target, it'll always affect the family at the end of the day, you know.
What's it like working with someone like Vicky Phelan? Vicky Phelan seems to be a powerhouse. Like she could easily say, no, I want to enjoy the rest of my life, because her fate has been handed to her, obviously totally out of her control. She's an inspirational woman, really. At the end of the day, she's done, and she's doing fantastic work. What's it like working with Vicky?
Like Vicky's absolutely incredible. Like with from day one, since we've all got to know Vicky, it was her standing up against everybody. I will not be silenced. Do you know, there's more people hurt here, and they need to know about this. So that was the first time we ever got to know Vicky. You know, like she's incredible. But I don't know where she gets her strength from. She would literally just run rings around all of us. Like a powerful person as well. But like us, you know, she's had a life handed to her as well that she never wanted. She's also a victim of this as well, and also wants to see this through. You know, it's about, you know, ensuring that what's happened doesn't happen to anybody else. And you know, just seeing the amount of time that she puts into this as well. You know, someone that has been given a terminal diagnosis, and the effort that she puts into fight for her own life with everybody else around her, is certainly inspiring.
And what message would you give out there to people who are, I suppose, they're waiting on results, or people who are thinking, will I go in for that check? What message would you give to them? Like, what kind of message of hope would you say? Look, it's
always scary, but you have to go. You know, like when it comes to, like, even you just look at this whole debacle now, for example, and the whole smear test. Like, you know, it scared a lot of people. Like, what's the point? But at the end of the day, you've heard Vicky, Lorraine, myself. We've all been saying you have to go get smear test done. Like, while the screening program has failed a number of people in in Ireland, as we know. It's done so much good for so tens of thousands of women that the odds of going for a smear test today and it working for you are totally in their favour. So it's definitely something that we certainly promote. That, along with the vaccinations as well, is absolute key. For us, like we've seen the worst part of what HPV can do to people. We've lost people as a result of it. But we know it all can be prevented. It can all be prevented with a proper screening programme that all of the women should avail of. But it's also the preventive measures with the vaccinations as well. You know, like what Laura Brennan did for the women in promoting, the vaccinations for girls was just incredible what she did. And now they're bringing in the boys' vaccinations in September. And it's something, as parents, we all should be educating ourselves on and protecting our children from this, because it's all preventable. So it's just everybody just needs to keep going with it, definitely.
So Stephen, I'd like to finish up on that, but I just want to finish up by saying, I suppose, on behalf of, I would say, the people of the local community, I suppose on behalf of women, families of Ireland, thanks for the work you're doing and the work you will continue to do. It is an inspirational thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you've lost someone so close to yourself. And I'd just like to wish you all the best for the future to yourself and the two boys.
Thank you very much.
Right.